Unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of bad in the world at the moment, and it's getting harder and harder to escape it. When you go out your door, anytime you turn on the news, anytime you turn on social media, and more, I feel I don't have answers and feel powerless to change it. And I'm sure I'm not alone on this. So it is my hope that this podcast can provide even the smallest respite for anyone that's listening. And so today, to help, ease the pain of whatever is going on in the world, we're going to give you some of our comfort movies so that maybe we can find some small relief. This is I Have No Title and I Must Podcast. We're your hosts, Tyler
and Chris.
And as a reminder, we are on most major podcasting platforms. So if you're listening on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening anywhere else, give us a follow and comment. Let us know what your favorites comfort movies are.
Yeah, and if you didn't hit the like button, just go down in the comment section and tell us why. Like, it's so easy. What's it? Just click. Just one little click. And if you're on your phone, just tap the thingy. You don't even have to click a mouse. What's wrong with you?
It's like one small click for you, one giant happy like for us.
Yeah, you have no idea what that does to my dopamine.
You want to kick us off with your comfort movie?
I think, and I've talked about this probably at length too many other times before, the one movie that I probably have returned to most, especially in recent years, is The Royal Tenenbaums. But I think maybe through my life, it's when I went over to look at my shelves, I'd say it's probably Edward Scissorhands from when I was a kid, which is kind of sad when I thought about it, because I was like, there's nothing inherently comforting about that story. It's really just because like a disaffected monster robot maybe that has to live alone. My solace comes from that, not that I live alone, but that somebody else had an idea for this and felt so otherworldly that because this didn't come from like some like football playing jock prep guy that was like, oh man, what would be cool is like monster, like this didn't come from a popular person. This came from a person that felt this way. Like, I don't identify with 80% of the world. This is what I feel like. I break everything I touch. People, they thought of this character who would have this, it's like they become a novelty. Like, this person brings them home to help them. But then it's like everybody in town is like, oh, look at this cool new thing, and they're so excited about it, and he goes even on TV and becomes a local celebrity. Then because of when that shine comes off the apple, even though there's nothing dangerous, not really about this. I mean, if somebody had scissors for fingers, yeah, slightly dangerous, but that's every person. People are stronger than they think. We can hurt people physically and with your words. And he never actually means to do any harm. That's the thing, is like he's like physically the most dangerous person in a 20-foot area, even just by accident, but the only time he actually hurts anybody is by accident. Whereas a lot of the regular people came to hurt him on purpose.
That's not my go-to comfort movie, but I can see where it would be, because you got this out-of-place person who's just misunderstood, just looking for a place that he belongs, and in a way finds it after all the negative that happens. But
I think I belong in a dark gothic castle nestled away from polite society. And the other thing really is, like, when I think about it from a scientific point of view, is it's one movie that I just liked initially as a kid, and it kind of takes me back to that. And that's a lot of what, like, emotional mental regulation comes. There's like a sense of comfort that comes from watching or listening to music that well, because like how it ends, the next beat, and I'm not going to explain it, but you can do your own research on this, but like going back to something that is very familiar to you,
the nostalgia aspect.
Yeah, and there's something that is does something to your brain that's like it's a comfort regulation thing. Again,
I'm sure we could fill this entire episode with just nostalgia picks.
Yeah.
But that'd be even more niche to us, maybe, because, I mean, I'm sure there's some crossover with everybody, but...
Depends on what our normal age demographic is, and I'm not at all sure what that would be.
I have no idea.
Chime in with your ages if you listen any at all.
Or do
you could just tell us how old your parents are, and we could be done with that.
Or do the tell us how old you are without telling us how old you are thing.
So I always say, like, I'm half in the 80s, half in the 90s, because, like, I was born in 81, so my childhood was, you know, in kind of the late 80s, but then my adolescence was in the 90s. So a lot of people want to say, like, I'm a 90s kid, and they are a 90s kid. If they're a bit younger than me, they grew up with some of that stuff. My life is kind of split in half with the internet, you know, like, I didn't really, you know, it was like just becoming a thing when I was in high school, and, like, even when it was a thing, it wasn't well understood, and it didn't have the capabilities that it does now. And there were several years where it was widely used, but then there was this massive upgrade where things changed drastically, and websites weren't as cool anymore. People didn't really bother to make them as interactive or as cool as they used to be, but they're a lot more accessible and functional now. So, and intuitive, like, stuff kind of just works for you for the most part, I think. So anyway, that's where I'm at, but I'd be interested to know who's listening and, like, what age demographic they are. Like, are you connecting with us? Are you getting what we're getting? I saw Edward Scissorhands in the theater. I don't remember exactly how old I was, like, because I don't remember exactly what year that one came out, oddly enough. But it was the late 80s. It was like 88 or 89, I think. It couldn't have been 89 because
I thought it was early 90s, like maybe 91.
Was it later than that? That's very possible, because, like, Batman was 89, and I know Tim wouldn't have had two movies that came out in the same year, I don't think.
No.
And Beetlejuice was before that, so yeah, it probably was into the 90s.
Because I know it was one of those that Vincent Price was in it, but he filmed his part before he died, and the movie came out after.
That is true. Vincent Price did film all of his movie roles before he died. I have heard that. It's a common misnomer that he did film some movies.
I mean, it would be Vincent Price that would film after death. He would understand the humor in that.
That son of a bitch. Here's one for my homie. Rest well, Vincent. You earned it.
That he has.
Okay, so are we keeping this to, like, 5 minutes?
Well, it's a little long for that.
Okay.
All right. So my pick next is a collection of movies, because I couldn't pick one, and it didn't feel fair to. And that is any of the Studio Ghibli movies. There's enough variety and whimsy and just fantasy escapism there, and the artistry, because I think only one of them uses CG, and I think even the newer ones don't use a lot of computers. I could be wrong on that, but I know especially the older ones, great stakes to, like, hand draw everything.
Yeah.
So, with the exception of maybe Grave of the Firefly, which is a sadder end of things, unless you get some kind of catharsis from that.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen a whole lot of these, actually. Okay, so I'm gonna, like, my fiance Allison really loves the, what's the biggest one? Like, the one that everybody knows.
Totoro's kind of their mascot.
Okay, not Totoro, but the other one, like the girl.
Spirited Away?
Spirited Away, yeah. They did, like, a musical of it and a stage. Yeah, so I watched that. It's really good. I mean, there's, like, some probably very specific, and that probably goes through a lot of these, like, Japanese cultural stuff that we're just not going to get unless you grew up Japanese or just know the culture super well. Because, like, that's a thing they have. I don't know if it's just Cinemark, but in the summer they play Studio Ghibli movies. And we went to go see Totoro. Because I'd never seen it. I don't think she had. If she had, she was so young that she didn't remember it well. But I want to say maybe she had not seen it. We go to see it, and I don't know who's watching Totoro. Or, like, I think it's meant for an age group of like toddlers. It's like, it's for little kids.
Yeah, Totoro is definitely meant for the younger kids.
Like, I can't speak yet.
Yeah, because I watched it. I didn't hate it, but I definitely watched it well past that age.
Yeah.
But it's also on the shorter side, too, because I think originally Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies was like a dual feature meant to be played together. And one was kind of like the kind of like bookends. One's like the happy, like innocent exploration part of youth, and Grave of the Fireflies was meant to be the, hey, sometimes death and bad things happen even when you're young, and you just have to go through that.
Which one's the one, or is it even a Studio Ghibli movie? Because I've just seen this as a GIF where the girl is in like school and she comes up and all the kids run up to her because she's got a box and she opens it and it's just like a dead bird and bones and other weird stuff, and they all go running away screaming. Have you seen that? Like, I feel like it could be from some other random anime, but I felt like it might have been a Studio Ghibli movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe. I can't.
Because most people are like, when my friends get to know me is the caption. Anyway, I'm not going to say anything too more disparaging about Totoro, but it was shocking how much I didn't like it. Having seen Spirited Away and thought, oh, this is, I only think good things. Yeah. So this is going to be good.
Well, that's the thing about the Ghibli movies. Like, they do cover like a wide age range as far as, so like Totoro is more for like your preschool age. Like Spirited Away, though, I think it holds up for anybody, but more specifically like that coming of age preteen kind of thing. And then you've got the more adult ones like Princess Mononoke and stuff like that, and like Porco Rosso, which is a weird one. It's kind of,
I haven't seen that one. Is that meant for adults?
Yeah, I think so, because it's like,
or at least older.
Yeah. People. Because, like, the main character is kind of like this ex-pilot from the war.
Porco.
Yeah. And he's actually cursed because he refused. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while since I watched it. But actually, probably very fitting for where we're at. Because he said he'd rather be a pig than to join fascist. And that if it means he has to stay cursed, he'll stay cursed and continue to fight.
It sounds like they were like strange inspiration from Animal Farm, from Orwell there. When was this made? Were they all 80s or 90s?
Porco might have been 90s.
Because
Animal somewhere
Farm came out
2000s.
in the 50s, right? 50s or 60s, I think. Maybe even 40s. I can't remember when Animal Farm came out. And I do not have my phone on me to look at
Animal Farm seems like it would be in after World War II, so...
Yeah. Most likely 50s. That's when it seems like it came out. So, yeah, it seems like maybe. I mean, I couldn't say. I didn't realize. So it's like he was magicked into being a pig.
Yeah.
And that's how they explain that. I've always wondered because I was
because I think this one's set in like some kind of Italy-inspired thing. And there's a lot of crossover with like aviation and like sky pirates and stuff. But... That's nothing with Ghibli. If you are into aviation, they have a ton of movies for you. Because I think Hayao Miyazaki's like obsessed with flight. And so you got several movies about flying contraptions or people that can fly somehow. But
so what's your absolute favorite? Or if not, the one that maybe you feel like you've seen the most or come back to the most?
I would probably say Princess Mononoke. Just because it is the one I've seen first. And so it's one that I tend to go back to. So, but honestly, you really can't go wrong. I also find myself coming back to Howl's Moving Castle quite often. So yeah, I don't think you can go wrong picking any of them. Some are better than others. Some more targeted age ranges. But if you're looking for an escape, I think they provide. So what other movies do you go to?
And this is actually, when I was looking up there, you know, I was like, well, the one movie outside of Edward Scissorhands would also have been Ghost World, which is very similar in tone, which is, I think I've talked about this a lot before too on here. Based on a comic book that was like kind of, it wasn't like comic strips, but they were definitely like shorts initially, and it's all been compiled together. And then I think at some point it kind of picked up with having some sort of storyline or wrapped up something, but not really. The story in the movie is these two friends, these two girls, have just graduated high school and they are going to move in together. but one of them is like, oh, one of them found out that she missed some sort of art credit for some reason, so she's one credit short of actually graduating, so she has to go to summer school, which fucks up her whole plan for everything. She doesn't want to get a job, and she just like hates everybody and everything because everybody sucks, and I get that. And it's like it's just shown what she's confronted with, like, in her life. It's constant, like she just doesn't identify with the people of her age, which is why she becomes friends with this guy who is into like blues music. He's played by Steve Buscemi. At first they're just pranking him. They like answer an ad in the paper of this guy who like thought that he made a connection with this woman at some random thing, and then puts an ad in the personals like, if you were this person, call me or whatever. So they call and leave a message for him to come meet at this diner. They go to the diner and he actually shows up, and then they just sit there, watch him wait for this person. And their other friend is like, this is really sad and up, like, why'd you guys do this? And they feel some level of remorse, and they follow him home and find out where he lives, and then they kind of stalk him for a bit, did not like maliciously, but they find out they find out his name. I don't think they had his name, maybe they did. And they go to, like, at the guy's apartment building, they have, like, a weekly yard sale with all the people. And so they go to that and kind of become friends with him. And it's just very strange. And then Thora Birch's character, Enid, decides that she's going to get him a date from somewhere. So she starts taking him to places so that he can meet people. And then it's really just, they just become friends because she gets him somehow. Like, he's just this weirdo, and she doesn't get all the like people that are her age. I remember what that was like being in high school and like staying after class and talking to the teacher sometimes. I know there's other people. I've met plenty of people. It's like, you're one of those. You're one of those people. Like, yeah, you could talk. You had some friends and you could talk to people your age, but like they just cared about their clothes or what was popular, and like they would change whatever music they listened to based on opinions. And like older people, or especially even specific teachers, specific kinds of people that you could meet, didn't care about any of that stuff, and they would have preferred to discuss other things, and they saw something in you that was similar to that, and they would indulge that. So I got that. And there's a lot there's a lot that's up in it. And there's this pervading theory about the end of the movie. I'm just gonna like watch it. It's not for everybody. I'll go ahead and say that. It's like the indiest of indie flicks. But there's this theory about it, and I'm pretty sure we probably have talked about this too. But the director has said, like, this came as a surprise to him because it wasn't really what was intended. But there's this suicide theory that everything's a metaphor for her working up to committing suicide, and when she finally gets on this bus and leaves town, that is the metaphor for her having committed suicide. And he was like, that's not what I intended. So that's a bit of a shock, but you know, once it's out there, people are free to make their own interpretations. So that's that. I never, like, other people have told me that have seen that they themselves did make that correlation. I don't think I ever really did. It's hard not to see where they could make that if you have seen the movie and then get told that is one way of looking at things. I don't think I ever did, but that was always, it seemed like that was part of her plan, was just an escape, you know? So, or just to get away from this town that it feels like they're just stuck in. And once she like really crashes and burns on a lot of things and like kind of up a lot of relationships. So sometimes you just need to hit the reset button, I guess. I get that. I have felt that at times, and I've not exactly done that ever. I've not gone to such extreme lengths, like cut all ties and leave town, except for one time when I was pretty young. I did do that. So, but it wasn't like exactly the same as I didn't go on my own. So anyway, that's not really I don't think that's the reason I like this movie, but I've never really thought about that before. So that is one that I used to, you know, it's like, yes, it gets dark at the end, but the whole way through, I keep like listening to that character talk and thinking like, I get this. I get that. I feel like that. Even like my closer friends, I look at them sometimes and I'm like, what the are you talking about? Are you high right now with this? So anyway, that's one that I have returned to a lot. It's not exactly, there is, the comfort level comes from that, again, people could feel like that. It's a dark comfort to know, like, I might never meet Terry Zwigoff, but he's out there, or David Clowes, they're out there, and you know, like, your interpersonal histories might be so different that you would interact and not become friends. But it's nice to know that somebody else at least feels the same as you do. Or that they would at least understand you to a degree, even if you wouldn't make for good friends. And, you know, maybe we would make good friends. I don't know that. That is also a possibility. Not likely to ever happen. Not likely that we'll ever meet. But that is a possibility, too. And just to know that those people exist is nice. To know that they would probably get me or look at me and be like, ugh, at least I'm not that.
So this feels more like one of those cathartic kind of comforts instead of a happy-go-lucky comfort.
Yeah, I think so. And even then, like, this isn't one of, like, I like the movie and I think it's a good movie, but it's not one of those, like, that's, again, for everybody. It's hard to recommend this. If you love indie flicks from, like, the early 2000s, and this is one that you happen to have not seen, definitely check it out, because it's probably right up your alley. But, again, it's not like it's so dramatic. Like, it does have some really quirky, funny moments, and some ups and downs. And there's a lot of, like, Scarlett Johansson's in it, Steve Buscemi, and God, I can't think of a lot of the other stars in it. You'd probably recognize a lot of people that are in it. So, yeah.
For my last movie, I'm going complete opposite end of the spectrum. And this is more of the happy, feel-good movie that is probably for everybody. And I assume a lot of people have probably already seen it. But I think this is the ultimate feel-good movie. That's The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's got a little bit of everything. You got adventure, you got romance, comedy, endlessly quotable. So, just a fun, happy ending movie. And, I mean, come on, Billy Crystal alone makes it worth the watch. So I was thinking, it's like, you know, what is the ultimate comfort? And it's all those things. Line delivery, comedic escape, you got your fantasy, something for everybody. And I kind of feel like that's how our lists have gone. We've kind of run the spectrum with just this handful of stuff of comforts. Mine have been fantasy escapisms. Yours has been more like relatable, you know, how do I fit in here kind of stories. Mm-hmm. So.
You sure you don't want to throw in the never-ending story?
Oh, except for that one scene. I think you kind of have to leave it out for that.
You can't edit the never-ending story.
And that's why we have to leave it off the list.
Yeah, probably.
I love that movie, but if we're trying to feel good and be comforted...
It's not an all... No, not that one. It's not an all-the-time thing.
And what is it with 80s bullies? I'm like, that's not bullying. That's felonies.
Yeah. Like, when, like, the Karate Kid was on, I hadn't seen it in a really long time. And then I realized, I don't know if I'd ever seen all of The Karate Kid or had watched it, like, in its entirety. I just felt, you know, I'd thought that I had seen it,
It's one of those that gets talked about so much. You see so many clips from it, you can't remember if you've actually watched all of it or just...
Yeah, and because of that, because I never sat down to watch it, but it seemed like it was always on, and then I just left it on. It was near the beginning, and I left it on, and I was like, you know, I don't remember a lot of this. I'm not sure that I've ever watched this movie in its entirety. And they just, like, those guys target him relentlessly and, like, beat the out of him, like, gang up on him. And I'm like, and then they redeem it with Cobra Kai, like, with this new show. Like, no, that guy. Did you guys watch the first Karate? Anybody who likes Cobra Kai is like, yeah, Cobra Kai forever. Did you watch the first Karate Kid? That guy's a piece of shit, okay? Whatever happens to him, he deserves it. Yeah. If it's bad.
I was going to say, as far as that goes, what they did to him outside of the tournament, okay. As far as the tournament goes, they might have been brutal, but they were all still within the rules. He wasn't.
Like Danny using the crane kick.
Should be disqualified.
But did he? And he won?
Yeah.
Oh, and that one moment ruined that guy's life. It wasn't like the chip on his shoulder that caused him to like go out and target that kid like relentlessly. And like, I mean, they could have didn't they put him in the hospital? Like he was, I mean, like, and that's the thing too, is I'm like, what was the timeline on that? Because one scene he's like limping, like bruised all up, and then the next scene he's like kind of better. I'm like, was it weeks later? Anyway, so yeah, and I still didn't finish it that night. It was like 2 a.m, and I was like, this is a really good movie, though. A classic, if you will. And then I think I was listening to James and Mason from the Weekly Planet talk about that. And they were like, somebody was saying something about like if there were different universes, like are these? And they were like, there's only one, this is the one universe and this is it. And I'm like, did they think that the Karate Kid is real? And also, but my thing is, they've recast Mr. Miyagi as Jackie Chan, right? Like for one of the newer ones.
We don't talk about that.
And I don't mind that, but like, is it, because like I always assumed that like there at some point it was a reboot, like an entire reboot.
I think it was supposed to have been, which didn't make sense to me because it's just like, oh, it's the next Karate Kid. He didn't teach him karate, he taught him kung fu.
Yeah. Like with Jaden Smith, I could understand if like they're like this is the new first Karate Kid, like it's a whole new thing, not connected to the early storyline or whatever with Ralph Macchio. That's fine, but if they like collapsed them into each other, then that just seems weird. Like, I'm not saying you have to get somebody in like makeup and a bald cap to look just like Mr. Miyagi, but like Jackie Chan could not look any less like Pat Morita than he does. Like, he looks nothing like him. It's so jarring. It'd be like if you got Weird Al Yankovic to play Han Solo in the new Han Solo movie, and they just didn't do anything to him. They just put a jacket on him, and he's like, "What's up, guys?" And you're like, is this the same Han Solo? He's like, "It's always been me." So I'm like, when they were like, it's the same universe. It's not like different. It's not like a Karate Kid multiverse. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it is a Karate Kid multiverse because there's different like Karate Kids, and I know that there was who was that one girl who was in like $1 Million Baby, because she was in one of them, right? Maybe even a made-for-TV one.
I don't remember.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Well, there was
I'm trying to think. I don't think I watched $1 Million Baby, so I'm like, who was in that movie?
Oh man, I can't think of her name, but this actress, and she did stuff like this for. Anyway, that was a Karate Kid movie, and it might have even been a made-for-TV one or a standalone one. And then Jaden Smith took over for a bit. I don't know how many he did, if it was just the one or what, but was that Jackie Chan's first one?
Yeah, I think they only did the one with that as far as I know.
Okay.
It wasn't that great.
And then they did the Cobra Kai TV show, and I'm like, I really feel like if they're going to continue on with this, they just need to let like Pat Morita be dead like he is in real life, because I mean, not to say that Jackie Chan wouldn't do a good job, but it just seems really, really odd, you know?
Especially since he doesn't do karate. It was kung fu, and it drives me crazy, and it probably shouldn't.
That they call him the Karate Kid?
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if the name is different in other countries, if they get it right. Because it's like in America, it's like... karate's
two different
the umbrella.
Nationalities, martial arts, too.
Yeah, like karate is the... unless I've always just tried to say martial arts, because that is an umbrella term that in my opinion, covers the gamut. It just is, a martial art that you can, like, it's not a specific type. It covers everything. Like if you say a weapon, you could mean gun or a knife or these fists. So with that, it's like people in America say karate, and like, oh, I know what you're talking about with that. And it's like, but that's actually like saying, have you ever had fish? Yeah, I've had sushi. What? That's a very specific way of putting things. So I get what you're saying. Is that just your OCD that bothers you? Because in it, it's specifically kung fu, and it's always kung fu. Yeah. And karate is not kung fu. I will bring up James and Mason one more time. This one time they were talking about the new Blue Beetle, and he kept calling him Jamie. And these are two guys that are very, very liberal, okay? They're very fair-minded. And then so one of them pointed out to the other one, I think it was either Mason to James or from a listener that said it's actually pronounced Jaime. And James said, I don't know what episode this is, but if somebody's listening and you know, put it down there. What's the difference? And I was like, whoa! Like, it's like the difference between Commander Data being called Data or Data. One is his name, the other is not. So anyway, The Weekly Planet's an Australian podcast. It's one that's been out there for quite a while, and they've picked up some steam. I don't think they're super well known by the mainstream, but I listen to them like I come and go from it, but I get those guys. We're close to the same age. We're into a fair amount of the same stuff, but they also they will watch and cover like Fast and the Furious and Mission Impossible movies, things I don't really give a about, but they're funny for the most part. There was a clip I was going to send you from a couple weeks back, and it's so they will try to do bits with each other, but it's clearly like they don't write anything. They just draw off the top of their head, and if the other one gets it, they join in, whatever. And they were talking about the Martha thing with like Bruce Wayne's mom and Clark Kent's mom both being named Martha. And then James said like, I only make friends with people whose mom's names are Martha. And he was like, Mason was like, so you check in advance? And he was like, yes. And then, because he misunderstood it first, and then he was like, and I want you to know your mom is not named Martha because we are not friends. We're colleagues. And there was just this like crushing silence. And Mason was just said, that's check and mate. And I couldn't hear him at first because I was laughing so hard. I was like, that's really up. But they've known each other since high school. So it's clear like if they're not friends anymore, they've put that aside for the show's sake. That's what James does full time now. That's how much it's taken off, and they've been able to make money at it. Mason will talk about that he's like a bus driver or something. Like, I guess everybody does something, but he technically works for the government and just it still works. So I'm like, I guess James takes home the lion's share of that, and Mason gets crumbs. That's what I'm putting out there. Who knows? Seems unfair and Mason's really like he will go a joke a minute. He really tries. Not all of them land, and sometimes James kind of swats it away. It's like, that wasn't funny. Like, he won't say that, but he'll just ignore it. So anyway, you should check him out. Everybody should check him out, unless you click on there and they suck. Then you can give them a dislike and move on. So yeah.
I think those were my movies. You got anything else?
If I like in recent years, really, it's been the Royal Tenenbaums, and it's just funny enough, but it's also this is mostly I don't know why. It's just that one movie, and I've said this over and over again. I never get tired of it, and I could not tell you why. I saw it around the time when it first came out, and even to this day, it's like, it never gets old. There's some movies that I'm like, I do not want to see this again. And I like it, but it's like, I enjoyed that, but too much of a good thing. This one, I don't know what it is about it. I really couldn't say. And it's not one where I really closely identify with any one character. But it's just so good. Like, I think that really technically, like, maybe my favorite of his films, I go back and forth between this and The Grand Budapest. I think The Grand Budapest might be a better film. And I know I've probably contradicted myself with that. My opinions shift and change with Wes Anderson by the day. But for some reason, and that's one that I could also list, because I never really get tired of that one either. And it's much newer, so I haven't seen it as much. But yeah, and there's some pretty funny stuff. If you really like quirky, droll, like low-key humor, this is your movie. But there's also, it's pretty dark in places too. This guy, like, their dad fakes having stomach cancer to worm his way back into their life. So yeah, there's a lot of but I also think some people, I used to have some friends that would say they watched Titanic whenever they would like have like this emotional buildup, like stuck emotions kind of, and they would feel like they needed to cry but didn't have anything like they needed to listen to some sad music or watch a sad movie, and they would talk about watching Titanic. And I'm like, is Titanic that sad, or is it just
Oh, if you need that kind of comfort, then you need to watch The Whale.
Yeah, no, I've not watched The Whale. That feels like it would be too much, just from what I've seen of it.
I finally got around to watching it, and I don't know what kind of person you are if it does not break you.
Yeah.
At least once, if not multiple times. Because it is a beautiful movie, but it is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah. I mean, just the trailer alone felt like that. So there's this new Stephen King movie made from a Stephen King short story, Life of Chuck. And I had not read the story, but I didn't know that it was Stephen King initially. I just saw the trailer for this movie and I was like, this looks good. I need to see this. And I just kept, and then I saw it was adapted from a Stephen King story. And I just kept feeling like, I need to see this. Like, I need to see it in theaters too. I need to have this as an experience. I didn't know what it was going to be at all. I actually went out of my way to not watch any more of the trailers and to go in as fresh as I could. And man, there's a lot of that too. I don't want to give anything away if anybody hasn't seen it. All I can say is watch it at least once because you will have an experience with it. And it's Tom Hiddleston plays the adult version of the titular Chuck, and I think there's like technically 3 other actors who play him, but only one other actor that plays him, like what we focus on in his younger life. And that kid's really good. There's a slightly younger one that's in like one scene and a slightly older one that's in a few scenes. That's takes place like I think right at the end of high school for him. And you're kind of at the beginning of the movie, you don't know what's happening at all, and it feels really jarring. And I don't know if that's how the book is, or the short story, but it's all set up and designed like that for a reason. And yes, there's a reason why you bringing up The Whale made me mention this, because there is a melancholic thread through this, but there is also a sense of hope. So I would leave you with that, and that would be my couple-minute review of Life of Chuck. I wouldn't even want to take a chance on spoiling it for somebody who's like, well, I need to know. No, I wouldn't even do that. And usually I will say that we're going to spoil something and give you time to like hit pause or stop listening or skip past it. I'm not even going to do that with this because I think people should see it. It was criminally underwatched. I mean, that's the sort of thing, like it was only in theaters for a few weeks and it was already gone. We had to go to Cincinnati. It was either going to be Cincinnati or Louisville, and I had only waited an extra 1 week. But then by the weekend when I would have had a chance to go, schedule was just weird that week. It wasn't anywhere near here in Richmond or Lexington. So we were possibly going to go to one of those cities either way. And I was like, well, I don't really care which. I just have to see this film. And it was like this weird small theater. And it was like 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, filled with old people. Never seen a movie with exclusively other old people. But I have found my optimum movie enjoying experience. They were dead silent through the whole thing and just took it in. And then afterward, they just sat there and quietly conversated with each other as the credits rolled. And I was like, yes. Now, and here's another little funny story. When it came out, it's like there was like this maze of hallways to get out of there. And there was like, I think even a back door. And I got kind of turned around. But there was this door we came to at the kind of crook of a hallway. And it said employees only. And it sounded like somebody was screaming in there. And they were like they were arguing with somebody. They're like, give me back my phone! No, give me back my phone! It's like, and they just kept saying like random stuff. And I've heard things like this in real life before. I used to work at a hotel and I worked third shift. So I've witnessed some up stuff. And I have a few stories from that. And I just paused there. And me and Allison looked at each other. And I was like, does somebody need help? Like, is that... Because my initial thought was, that person is not in trouble. They are troubled. Like, they are not being accosted, but they might have had their phone taken from them for their own good, like they're on drugs or something. And I don't know. There's a number of reasons. Now, they could have easily been attacked and somebody could have snatched their phone away. Either way, I was concerned. I didn't know what it could have been. And this guy comes up with a broom behind me and he was like, oh, that's the way out. And I was like, what's going on in there? Is that real? And the reason I said this is because I also knew it was a possibility but that's from a movie I've not seen. And for some reason, it's playing full blast audio in an employees only. Like, I never walked past, like, you walk past the theater door and you can hear the movie coming out. But I've never walked past, like, and it was level. Like, the projection rooms are higher up. They're elevated. So if you're going to hear something like that, it's usually not going to be in an area where you could get to as a patron. That was just very odd. And there's part of me that was like, yeah, we're in a movie theater. There's another part of me that was like, that guy was like, I'm just going to tell him whatever I need to tell him to get him out of here because I don't want any part of this either. Like, whatever's going on in there, I am ignoring because I am 19 years old. I mop up popcorn in a movie theater and I don't get paid enough for this. And I'll never know unless I go back to that theater, walk past that doorway and hear some other random movie playing full blast. I mean, it was like loud. I'm telling you, it was loud. So that was interesting. That was not comforting.
You always have the interesting movie trips when I'm not there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if I were gonna name 3, those would be my top 3. Everything else I could easily leave on in the background. Like 4 through 6 of Star Wars easily could be that. And there's a lot of animated movies. A lot of the first several Marvel films. They're just fun action movies. Nothing too heavy. Decent humor. Some good action. And then a lot of older indie films and older classic films too. The Wizard of Oz is probably one that, again, I've seen since I was 5 or 6 years old. And God knows how many times I've actually seen it.
Yeah, it's one of those you got to watch at least once a year.
So yeah.
So I hope we've provided at least some inspiration for some comfort movies. We've given you the range of escapism to catharsis for your comfort levels. And I think we've kind of lost the plot a little bit there at some point, but the whole point of this is for a respite from reality. So I hope you still found enjoyment there. So leave us your comfort movies in the comments. Be sure to follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, see ya.